It's New York in 1975 on a deathly cold winter night. A struggling young actor stumbles into a pet store with his beloved dog. The man looks utterly defeated and is trembling with emotion. He can barely speak to the store owner when he reaches the counter. He finally explains that he is down on his luck with barely $76 to his name. He can't afford to buy groceries and heat his apartment, and his young wife is at home alone, expecting their first child. He has come to sell his beloved dog just so he can keep the lights on for a few more weeks. The young actor was Sylvester Stallone. Today, he's one of the most recognizable faces in cinema history. He single-handedly created 3 of the greatest movie franchises in history and spawned a whole new action movie genre in Hollywood. His lifetime box office receipts is estimated at around $4.5 billion. But the story of how he got there, that's a tale more dramatic than any movie he's ever starred in. Let's take a look at this army of me. Born in Manhattan's Hell's Kitchen in 1946, Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone's first fight began the minute he was out of the womb. Complications during labor left him with partial facial paralysis, a trait that would later become his trademark, but as a child made him a frequent target for bullies. Growing up in a broken home, shuttling between parents and even foster care,
my mother would say, the only reason you're here is because the hangar didn't work.
Young Sylvester found solace in 2 places: weight training and movies. While other kids were playing ball, he was building muscle and dreaming of the silver screen. And in 1970, he finally moved to New York to pursue acting full-time. But Hollywood dreams alone don't pay the bills. Through his early 20s, Stallone took every job imaginable: cleaning lion cages at the Central Park Zoo, ushering at movie theaters, even appearing in a softcore pornographic film just to keep from being homeless. Then, in 1975, watching a boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner, lightning struck.
You're gonna eat lightning, and you're gonna trap thunder.
Over 3 straight days, drinking coffee and barely sleeping, Stallone poured his heart into a screenplay about an underdog boxer who gets one shot at greatness. The script was Rocky.
You might say I had quite a bit of fuel to sit down and write the script. I wrote the script in about 3.5 days, and only because I could hear the wolf at the door, literally.
And when producers came calling,
I've got a proposition I'd like to make to you, bro.
they offered him $350,000 for it, the equivalent of over $1.7 million today. But there was a problem. They didn't want Stallone to star in it.
Now forget it, kid. You got the heart, but you ain't got the tools no more. Now forget it.
They wanted a big name. As they put it at the time, they wanted a more bankable star like Burt Reynolds. Yes, that Burt Reynolds. Here's the twist that changed everything. Stallone refused.
No.
Despite being nearly broke, despite having a young child and a pregnant wife, despite having just sold his dog just to keep the heat on, he turned down life-changing money.
I would have done the whole thing for like a donut and a tuna fish sandwich.
He believed in himself more than the money.
Until you start believing in yourself, you're gonna have a life.
Finally, after months of back-and-forth negotiations, the studios gave in. They offered him $35,000 and the starring role. With a brutal budget and a mere 28-day shooting schedule, Rocky was born. The film would go on to earn 10 Academy Award nominations, win Best Picture, and spawn a whole franchise of its own. To date, the Rocky movie franchise alone has generated $1.4 billion in revenue. With Rocky, Stallone had cracked the code. He went on to create another cultural icon with Rambo, and through the 80s and 90s became one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors. The struggling actor who once sold his dog had become so successful that years later he tracked down that same dog and bought him back for $15,000. You see, Stallone didn't just write Rocky's story, he lived it. From sleeping at New York's Port Authority bus terminal to commanding $20 million per movie. From selling his dog for $50 to producing billion-dollar franchises. Sylvester Stallone didn't just play an underdog, he was one. And like Rocky Balboa running up those Philadelphia Museum steps, this army of me proved that with enough heart, enough determination, and an unwavering belief in yourself, any dream is possible. Because sometimes, the best stories aren't the ones we write, they're the ones we live.